The earth gives up its secrets, slowly. Sometimes they emerge in whispers, a faded photograph, a forgotten letter, a sealed box no one was meant to open. And sometimes, what rises from the ground doesn't just tell a story. It reignites a legend. This is one of those moments. A time capsule, linked to Diana, Princess of Wales, sealed in 1991. Untouched for more than 30 years, has been opened. And what lay inside has stunned the world. Before we dive in, there's something I need to share with you. Over the past few days, thousands have watched these stories unfold, but most haven't subscribed. If you're one of them, I invite you now to join us. Subscribe to Crownverse so you never miss the next chapter in this unfolding royal history. The capsule was never meant to be myth. It was meant to be memory. It lay buried in the gardens of Great Ormond Street Hospital, the children's hospital that Diana served as president from 1989 until her death. It was part of a project, a gift to the future, curated with children, sealed beneath the soil in an age before smartphones, before social media, before Diana became a global martyr. When construction began this year on the hospital's new Children's Cancer Center, workers uncovered it, an unassuming metal cylinder, weathered but intact. Inside, archivists found fragments of a world both distant and instantly familiar. A Kylie Minogue CD, a pocket-sized television, a solar calculator, coins, stamps, and a newspaper from the spring of 1991, and one small photograph of Diana herself, smiling in that way only she could, half formal, half human. It is not the treasures themselves that shock us, it is the intimacy of their ordinariness. Because this was not a royal chest of diamonds and decrees, it was a capsule of culture, the heartbeat of an era captured by a woman who understood, perhaps better than anyone, how the world was changing. Historians confirm that the capsule was created in partnership with children from the BBC's Blue Peter program. They were asked to select objects that best represented life at the dawn of the 1990s. Diana presided over the ceremony, placing the final items inside. There is footage of her doing so, a young princess in a cream suit, surrounded by schoolchildren, laughing as she seals the cylinder. The world she was sealing away was one of contradiction. 1991 was a turning point, the year her marriage was unraveling in private, even as her global fame reached its peak. The public still saw a fairy tale princess. Behind palace walls, she was learning how fragile that fairy tale had become. Some royal commentators suggest that the capsule, though conceived as a children's project, became something more personal for Diana, a quiet act of preservation at a time when her own sense of stability was collapsing. That interpretation cannot be verified, but it fits the pattern of a woman who often turned pain into purpose. Among the artifacts, one item has captured the world's attention, that Kylie Minogue's CD Rhythm of Love. Released in late 1990, it's a small detail, yet profoundly symbolic. Diana wasn't content to inhabit the formal, classical world of monarchy. She connected with pop culture, the living pulse of ordinary people. She danced to contemporary music, attended Elton John concerts, befriended George Michael. The CD in the capsule is more than plastic. It's proof that Diana's taste belonged to her generation, not the crown. When the hospital released photos of the items, that disc gleamed under fluorescent light, the reflection of a princess who bridged the divide between royal protocol and human emotion. The pocket-sized television tells another story. In 1991, it was a novelty, a symbol of how technology was shrinking the world. To include it then was almost prophetic. Diana was living through an age of transformation, the fall of the Berlin Wall, the rise of global media, the first murmurs of the internet. She understood visibility better than anyone. She didn't hide from cameras. She mastered them. That tiny screen, preserved for 34 years, now feels like a mirror, the world looking back at her through glass. The newspapers found inside speak of war and recession. Headlines about the Gulf War, about political tension, about royal duties and charity visits. Their yellowed pages smell of ink and time, reminders of the backdrop against which Diana lived her contradictions, a life of diamonds and discomfort, of glamour and isolation. And then, there were the fashion magazines. Glossy pages that once defined the 1990s now reveal the power Diana wielded without a crown. Her fashion was not rebellion for its own sake. It was communication, a visual language that said what palace press officers could not. Every outfit, every choice, was a message. The capsule preserves that era, not as nostalgia, but as evidence. Diana understood the public conversation she was shaping. Why does this discovery matter now? Because it reminds us that legacy is made of small things: a CD, a calculator, a photo fragments that together form a mosaic of identity. Diana's influence wasn't built on wealth or decree. It was built on connection. And connection, as we are reminded now, never really dies. Still, the opening has stirred debate. Some historians question whether the capsule should have been unsealed at all. They point out that it was never intended for commercial display or royal publicity. It belonged to the hospital, to the children who helped bury it, not to global fascination. They argue that opening it now, amid renewed interest in Diana's life and portrayal in media, risks turning remembrance into spectacle. Others disagree. They see this as a timely rediscovery, a gentle, almost poetic reminder of the woman the world refuses to forget. To them, the capsule's unveiling is less exploitation and more resurrection. A chance to reconnect with a piece of history that feels increasingly fragile in the age of digital amnesia. The truth likely lies somewhere between reverence and reality. Notice who has not spoken: Prince William and Prince Harry. Neither has issued a statement. Their silence has drawn attention, but not interpretation. Both men, now adults, navigating very different paths, have learned that some memories are too sacred for commentary. William honors his mother through continuity, through work with hospitals, charities, and mental health causes that echo her compassion. Harry honors her through challenge by questioning the very institution that failed her. Their silence about the capsule is neither approval nor rejection. It is protection. It keeps their mother's legacy in the realm of the personal, away from the noise of speculation. And yet, speculation persists. Were there more items inside? Personal letters, photographs, private notes? Officials at Great Ormond Street Hospital have declined to comment on whether all contents were made public. Some observers believe this discretion suggests there may be more, perhaps artifacts too intimate to display. Others insist that the list released by the hospital is complete. Until confirmation, the mystery will continue, as every mystery involving Diana always does. The intrigue, however, says more about us than about her. We still search for hidden pieces of Diana, because we are unwilling to accept that her story is already complete. Every new discovery, real or imagined, becomes a way of keeping her alive. To understand the capsule's significance, we must remember what 1991 truly represented. It was the year Diana began to separate her identity from the monarchy. She was still the Princess of Wales, but no longer content to be a symbol without a soul. That same year, she began speaking privately to biographer Andrew Morton, laying the groundwork for the explosive book that would reveal her unhappiness. It was also the year she deepened her involvement with hospitals, AIDS, charities, and children's causes. Her visit to Great Ormond Street to bury the capsule was one of many engagements, but one that carried a subtle resonance. She wasn't just sealing away objects. She was sealing away innocence, her own, perhaps, as much as the nation's. 34 years later, when the capsule emerged from the ground, it brought that innocence back into the light, not as nostalgia, but as evidence of the woman she really was: engaged, curious, human. Look closely at the symbolism of what was not included. No tiaras, no royal decrees, no emblems of power. Everything inside was civilian, democratic, ordinary. That is what makes it extraordinary. Diana always knew that what the world craved was not perfection, but proximity. The ability to say, she listens to the same music I do, she reads the same magazines, she lives in the same world. The capsule captures that world, an artifact of shared experience. In that sense, it isn't just Diana's time capsule, it's ours. The public reaction has been swift and emotional. Across social media, hashtags like #DIANA's legacy and #TimeCapsule1991 trended for days. People shared their own memories of the early 90s, their first CD, their first Walkman, the first time they saw Diana's photograph in a magazine. For many, the capsule feels like a time machine to a moment when hope still outweighed cynicism. Historians, meanwhile, view it as a cultural treasure. The newspapers and magazines alone provide primary sources that contextualize Diana's era. In classrooms and archives, students will study not just her image, but her influence, how she humanized the monarchy, modernized philanthropy, and redefined fame. Even charities she once championed have commented, reminding the world that beneath the glamour, she was a working humanitarian, a woman who held hands with AIDS patients, hugged children in hospitals, and spoke about mental health long before it was fashionable. Yet, amid the celebration, some critics raise a different concern. They ask, why now? Why open it in 2025, when interest in Diana is peaking again with new documentaries, dramatizations, and royal controversies dominating headlines? Is the timing coincidence or choreography? The hospital insists the opening was practical, necessitated by construction work, not publicity. That explanation holds up, but in the court of public opinion, intention matters less than perception. And perception, when it comes to Diana, is never neutral. As the dust settles, the capsule has become more than a historical curiosity. It has become a mirror. Every generation sees something different reflected in it. For older Britons, it's nostalgia, a return to an age when the monarchy felt young and accessible. For younger audiences, it's discovery proof that Diana's story is more than tragedy. For the institution itself, it is reminder and warning. Relevance depends on humanity. King Charles, now decades removed from the turbulence of the 90s, faces the impossible task of leading a monarchy shaped by the very woman who once challenged it. And as the capsule's contents circulate in headlines around the world, one truth becomes inescapable. Diana's influence endures, not because she was royal, but because she was real. When historians write about this moment, they may note the items, a CD, a gadget, a photograph. But what will linger is the symbolism, the act of preservation, the intention behind it, and the timing of its return. The capsule bridges past and present, reminding us that history is not just written in books or carved in stone. Sometimes, it sleeps beneath the soil, waiting for us to remember. There's one more image worth holding on to. Archivists described opening the capsule in a quiet room. No flashbulbs, no crowds. They lifted the lid carefully. The air inside still faintly sealed from 1991. And for a moment, time itself seemed to pause. The world outside had changed beyond recognition, but inside that metal cylinder, the 1990s were still alive. That pause, that stillness, is perhaps the truest tribute to Diana, because her story has always been about time, the time she was denied, the times she changed, the time she still defines. In the end, the capsule does not reveal new secrets about Diana. It reveals something about us, our endless desire to understand her, to feel close to her, to keep her story breathing. It proves that even decades later, we are still opening boxes she left behind, literal and metaphorical, searching for meaning in her memory. As the items go on display at Great Ormond Street Hospital later this year, children will peer through glass at relics from a world they never knew. And maybe one of them will ask, who was she? And someone will answer, she was the princess who made the world feel less distant. The soil has given up its secret, but the mystery of Diana remains eternal, untouchable, and somehow still unfolding.